evening. Keep us up the cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here. And guys, it's time for another episode of the 1011. And joining me, as always, on a Tuesday, we have Rob, Fat Stacks of Comics.
Hey, how you doing?
Real quick, Rob, you have something coming up on January 2nd. What would that be?
Oh yeah, we were just doing a small little get together. Got 1,000 subscriber giveaway extravaganza party going on over on Rob's Fat Stacks YouTube channel there on January 2nd at 5 p.m. Eastern. Yes.
And guys, if you want to know what I'm contributing, I just posted a video with my prize package for his live giveaway. And without further ado, our guest of honor, and we are here to highlight Vaughn 82. Scott Vaughn, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Hey guys. Hey, I'm glad to be here. I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent. We're super happy you decided to come on the show. Now, guys, the links to Rob and Scott's channels and IG pages are in the description below. If somehow you are not familiar with either one of these gentlemen, please consider go subbing them up. So, Scott, as I like to begin all these, give the audience that's going to be watching on the rewind and that's tuning in live, who is Scott Vaughn and what is your channel about, sir?
All right. I grew up in the 80s and 90s collecting comic books, and that was probably my favorite thing to do as a kid, collecting comic books and comic cards. Growing up, I kind of lost touch with it a little bit. Got into some rough years. Got into some drugs. Got into some bad stuff. Led to some trouble and me overdosing, unfortunately. Having to go to rehab, having to clean my life up. I picked up comic books as a hobby after I got clean, and I realized that it was an important part of my recovery to have healthy hobbies, and comic books was my favorite one. So I kind of went back to comic books, and I had started a recovery page out of rehab that grew really well, and I kind of wanted to do something like that on YouTube. And that's what it was meant to be originally, but it kind of turned more into comic books. But I'm kind of trying to do sort of a hybrid thing and put the message of recovery out there as well while I'm collecting. And it's kind of a mixed thing, I guess.
Oh, awesome. No, that's fantastic. And one of the best things about this show for me is we get to see what books are personal to the person that is the guest of the night. So I can't wait to see what books spoke to you and got you out there. But before we start, we are going to say hello to the audience. Our first one in tonight, beating Las Cruces, was Marcus, Circumstances. LFG, I guess that means let's fucking go. So let's do it. Chop and Drop, good evening, sir. Matthew, how you doing tonight, buddy? Comic Journey, who the hell Scott? He's right here, buddy. Now you know. No one's half the battle. G.I. Joe. Las Cruces from Mexico, good evening, sir. Journey saying Scott is Scott. We have One Shot Comics. Good evening. How you doing? So we're getting we got Switch Comics in here. We have Jerry the Jitterbug. Warlord, good evening, sir. We'll have to reach out to Warlord and get him on the show as well. 22 Comics, good evening. How are you? Brian LCS, good evening. So already filling up. Digger Jim, good evening, buddy. Nice to see you. And Jimmy G, the comic guy. Good evening, sir. How are you? Collecting with Durs. Good evening, Durs. How are you, sir? Lady Fantastic Caroline is in the chat. Good evening, Caroline. And and I think, are we caught up? Oh, Travis, TM Nerdy's here. Good evening, sir. And I think we are. Oh, Polkan Joe has joined us. Good evening, Joe. And wow, this is scrolling. I can't keep up with the chat tonight. We are rolling. So without further ado, Scott, let's get right into it and let's take a look at your first book, sir.
All right, cool. My first book, I decided to go with an artist that I've been collecting a lot of lately. Definitely one of my favorite artists. This is a Greg Horn cover for 2004 run of She-Hulk. And I'm a big collector of horror comics and pinup comics, or pinup style, I should say. And Greg Horn is really big on that. And this is probably one of my favorite covers in that run.
Oh, That run has a bunch of great covers.
Yeah, there's so many good ones in this run. I actually had a hard time picking out my favorite, but I like this one a lot, so I went with it. But
Now, are you a
I
big
love,
She-Hulk fan, Scott?
yes, absolutely. I collect a lot of She-Hulk actually. I Savage She-Hulk, Sensational She-Hulk. I love John Byrne's version of She-Hulk. Um, the show was okay, but yeah, I'm a huge collector. She's probably one of my favorite female characters.
And I love that first Savage run. And Mike Vosberg did such great work on that run.
Yeah, I have such a hard time finding those though from that first run. But I pretty much have Sensational filled in. I'm only missing a few from that one.
Nice. And that's a pretty big run. So that's a good one to have filled in.
Yeah, so I got a pretty good She-Hulk collection going, but I've been collecting a lot of Greg Horn here lately, and so I had to get something from Greg Horn art to do as one of
Is
my
that
favorites.
somebody dressed up as like Woody?
It's so weird, man. It's the horse and the cowboy in the background are kind of funny looking, but I don't know. I just love Greg Horn art.
Oh, same here. Greg Horn, Greg Land, the Dodsons. I love their covers. There's like a whole group that I just gravitate towards their covers.
Yeah, Joseph Michael Linsner. He's another one of my favorites. Carla Cohen. I almost went with the Carla Cohen cover. I love her stuff.
Oh, and Celine too. Have you checked out? She's a newer artist that's on the scene. Her covers are amazing.
No, I'll have to check her out.
Oh, you'll like them. It looks like old school Howdy Doody collecting what Durs is saying.
Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of does. Yeah, the horse is crazy. The horse's face is crazy.
Right.
But as far as the his rendition of She-Hulk, I love that though.
And it kind of reminds me of City Slickers a little. One of the funniest old comedies.
Right? Yeah, it does have the background. Yeah, for sure.
I agree. Horn's Emma Frost is great.
Yes, I don't know what's gotten me so into his work here lately. I ordered a mystery box from him recently, and I got a ton of really good stuff out of that. I got a slab of a Catwoman cover that he did. Some really good stuff in that box.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
number 2, sir. Good start with She-Hulk. I'm a big fan of the Ladies of Marvel.
All right, this one is kind of recovery related. Like I was saying, January 6th, I will have 3 years. No illegal drugs, no illegal activities, straighten my life up. 3 years, January 6th. I decided to pick Ice Cream Man issue 32. My first reason being is because it was a great story, and this is probably one of the best reads from last year. It would definitely be a top pick for me. But it documents this man's journey through hitting rock bottom, through recovery, and really hit close to home. And I really love the message throughout the book. And it actually had me tear up. This is the one comic book last year that I read that actually made me tear up. So I felt like it was worthy of being in the top 10 for that.
Oh, nice. Hey, we all have those books too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about comics right now, right? There's so much out there. There's literally something for everyone or any experience you've had. There's something out there for anyone to connect to.
Yeah, and I feel like it's something, that I don't need to be ashamed of, that I need to talk about, because there are people out there that need to hear it. And I've had people reach back and say that I've helped them. So that's why I do it. That's why I wanted to do it to begin with. So,
well, right. Yeah. People need to know that there can be a way out on the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, like if you hit a rock bottom or something like that, of course, the answer is go to rehab, get help. But there are some steps in between that people don't know. Like, people don't know what to do. And that's what people like me are here for, I guess.
Right. And like that old boxing saying, right? Get knocked down 7 times, get up 8.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Great book.
Definitely.
And Ice Cream Man is just a favorite among a lot of people too.
Ice Cream Man's been great. It's one that you don't have to pick up every issue to be into it. You can just jump right in at issue 35 if you want to, just a random issue, and it's going to be a good story. You're not going to be lost. It's one of those. It's a good one. Great covers too. Really good covers.
Oh yeah, that the one you just showed too. It kind of reminds me, even though it's not him, it reminds me of a Bill Sienkiewicz cover. It kind of like when he used to do the old Warlock covers for New Mutants. Like it's got the Warlock eyes going.
Those are all. Yes, he definitely does. I definitely see that. I was trying to see who does the cover. It's really tiny though. I can't tell. But that's a cool cover. But
Definitely.
I think it's the B cover for that one.
And you gotta love horror stories that have like one of those connecting characters that tells the tale, right? We all love our Crypt Keepers. This one you got the Ice Cream Man. I mean, we all love that kind of stuff. All right, number 3, sir.
Number 3. Another thing I'm really big into collecting is horror. I have a lot of horror comics. So I feel like I needed to share A Nightmare on Elm Street, the beginning, issue 1. This is Innovation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this one's late 80s, I want to say. I have a ton of Nightmare on Elm Street from the early 90s, but I think this is one of the earliest ones that I have. This may be the earliest. I know there's that first appearance of Freddy Krueger. It's in magazine format, but this is one of the earlier appearances in comics. But I was just a big horror kid. I loved horror movies, and that translated over into comics and pretty much everything else. Even when I didn't collect comics, I always collected horror stuff.
Oh, same. I've loved horror my whole life, ever since I was a kid.
Yeah, that's
Silver Coin.
Silver Coin is awesome. Yes, I love it.
Silver Coin.
Still on that run. Yeah, that's been a great one. That's probably my favorite.
A 3D Freddy's comic, which was fun.
I've seen pictures of that one, but I don't have it. That's another one that I need to pick up. The cover for it's awesome though. It's really cool.
Let me try to find it. If I can, I got it stored somewhere. I'm not the biggest Freddy guy. It was a fun read, but I'll A-OK it to you when I find it. You just have to send me your address.
Or we can come up with a trade or something. I'm sure I got some good stuff.
I'll just send it to you.
Send Gary some Venom. He's good.
Yeah, no.
Some Venom? I have tons of Venom.
That'll keep me warm when I burn it.
Oh my
god. So all right, number 3 for
4.
Freddy. No, that was 3, Rob. Freddy. Now we're on 4.
Here's 4 right here.
All right, yeah, Rob's going to the next one. Oh, nice.
Number 4, I decided to go. This was my favorite read from last year. This was Vermilion, and it is by a Brazilian artist by the name of Brau, Brao. This is another story of a girl's struggle in life, her ups and downs, and it's crazy though. This book though, I'm not even a huge Slipknot fan, but it goes along with there's a Slipknot song by the same title, and you literally can put on part 1 and let part 1 and part 2 play through as you're reading this, and it goes right along with the comic book, and it just creates a whole audio visual experience. And it was really, really cool. That made it really cool for me. And like I said, I'm not a huge Slipknot fan, but it's a pretty song, and paired with the comic, it was an awesome overall experience. And the artwork's killer in here. I went on to look at some of Brau's artwork on Instagram, and he does some really, really cool artwork. If you like what you see on the cover, he does a lot of pinup stuff, sort of in that style.
And I noticed lately too, I don't know if you've noticed that at your LCS, there is a lot of rock bands that are coming out with their own comics.
Yeah, a bunch.
Some metal and rock bands, just a ton of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was trying to think of the one I seen the other day. Of course, I can't think of it now, but yeah, there are several. Think Opus. Isn't that
Opus is doing a lot of them?
Yes. But yeah, if you guys probably a lot of you haven't heard of this book, but if you ever have a chance to grab this and put on the Slipknot Vermilion song And yeah, it's
And
really
they had
cool.
quite a few different covers for that issue one too.
Yeah, this is the B cover. I also have the A cover. It's just a solid black cover with vermilion across it. And I just thought this one was kind of cool because it sort of included the pinup style that I also collect. So yeah, definitely cool. And that's Brow artwork too. He wrote and did the art for this.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I've actually had the pleasure of speaking with him through Instagram here and there. And he's a really cool dude too.
Oh, it's nice when you reach out to them and they actually respond, right? And they're just regular people.
That's
Really
the
connect you
awesome
right
part.
away.
Yeah, it's so cool. A lot of those guys, like Nakayama, is really good about responding back. David Nakayama.
Oh yeah.
He's really
he
cool.
does some killer covers too.
Yes,
When his
absolutely.
covers they hit well.
Well, now that he's been co-opted by Unknown, he's been just a factory churning out covers lately. That, and then he's also doing all the A covers on Dynamite's Gargoyles now too.
And he did a lot of great Immortal Red Sonja covers too.
Yep, and he's got that Darkwing Duck and Gargoyles. He's all over the place.
All right, number 5, sir.
Number 5. I seen Durs was in here. He's gonna like this pick. This checked off multiple boxes for me. This is I subscribed to Wizard as a kid, so love Wizard magazine. This is one of my favorite covers, probably right behind the issue 1 Spider-Man cover, which I wish I had, but I don't. So this is probably one of my favorite Wizard covers. And like I was saying, I love Wizard magazine, and it's McFarlane, and he's one of my favorite all-time artists. So checks off several boxes. But I miss Wizard. I wish they would bring it back. I miss it so much.
Same here. I think there's a market for that again nowadays. What I really wish though is that we could get books at the prices they had them in there when they were those old 90s prices.
Yeah, but all the cool little ash cans and cards and all the cool stuff that the posters that came in these. Like, we need a Wizard, at least the equivalent of a Wizard magazine.
And I always loved the fan casting they did for movies too.
Yes, yeah, and artist interviews. They had the amateur artwork that you could send in and get printed, and you could submit to them. And
I love that section when they did the sent in artwork. It was always fun.
Yes, the little envelopes with people's artwork,
and some were incredible.
Yeah,
Isn't really just YouTube and IG a whole new version of Wizard? A billion people contribute a bunch of weird stuff and discussing a bunch of things and fan castings and make believe stories that may or may never be true.
Yeah, and I do feel like a lot of people would say that we're kind of moving away from magazines, but I would buy it. I would subscribe.
Oh, same. And I love magazine format. Like the old Eries and Savage Swords, and just I love magazine format stories. There's something special about it.
And actually, seeing your Conan shorts got me looking for them now. Because there's some really cool stuff in magazine format.
Oh, we got Matt Woods saying, "Comic Journey, you are so right. The internet has ruined the magazine market." Matt Woods, your first mistake was telling Comic Journey he was right, because now he's now he's gonna shoot right up there.
Yeah, because who needs to pick up Hustler when you can get it for free? Wait.
I'm sorry, we got to pick on our audience here, Scott.
Right. I understand.
We have a great audience. All right, number 6, sir.
Number 6.
So far, some great books. Always love seeing Wizard pop up.
See, I was going for different on this. I was trying to do a little bit different stuff too. But I got a Rob Zombie International Spook Show.
Ooh.
This is issue 1. And this is another one that checks off several boxes for me. A, it's a horror book. B, Rob Zombie is doing the interior art and the writing. C, you got a J. Scott Campbell cover, which is one of my favorite cover artists. D,
homage too.
Yes, and and it's Sherry Moon right there on the front. J. Scott Campbell did an illustration of, which makes it even better. So plus it's just a badass. That's just a badass series of movies. So definitely had to include this one. I'm a huge fan of J. Scott Campbell's art, and I have been for a long time, and as well as Rob Zombie and his music even. So.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of his music. I liked White Zombie, and then I liked him by himself, and
That's when I first got to know Rob Zombie back in the White Zombie days. He's just a genius. He's a genius.
Not a nice guy, but sure.
He's a little out there.
I met him, and he wasn't a nice guy.
Oh, what
really?
Yeah, at a backstage event, he was. It was back. We had backstage event when I was working back in radio at the time. It was like Pantera and White Zombie, and we had to. They basically his handlers had to drag him out of the trailer to come to the backstage event and meet the fans. And then he sat in the corner sulking when people came up to talk to him, tell him how great he was, and all the other usual fan garbage we do. He just kept his head down and just signed and pushed people away and didn't want to even interface with them. And I was like, I don't care if you're even sick or anything else. 10 minutes. Give these people the time of day. They're the ones who are buying your stuff and making it so that way you can live the rock star life. The least you can do is just for 10 minutes suck it up there, buttercup.
And that reminds me of when I met Pauly Shore. I had the same type of experience when I met Pauly Shore.
Well, there's a guy that should be thankful for anyone meeting him.
Right.
Man, you would have thought he was an A-list celebrity the night that I met him.
Mm-hmm. Now, what did you think of Rob Zombie's Monsters?
I haven't got to check it out yet. What did you think? Have you seen it?
I have. I was not a personal fan of it.
No.
But, I mean, I know some people who really liked it and some people who didn't care for it. I mean, it's a setup for... It almost ends like a pilot, essentially, almost like you're setting up for a regular and rest of the show type of thing. And he wanted to originally shoot the whole thing in black and white, but the studio wouldn't let him. So instead, he went with his hyper color stuff, which that part doesn't bug me too much. But I don't know. I'll leave it to you I was kind of like, meh. I've seen it. I can move on.
It wasn't something that was high up on my list to check out, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe
super excited because I grew up watching those reruns of that and the Addams Family and stuff. And so, like, every time there's a property of those, I want to see those. And I just unfortunately got I didn't think it was all that great, but it wasn't awful either. It was just kind of there.
Yeah, it didn't add anything, but just kind of, all right, this is part of the franchise. So would you compare it to Nick Spencer's run on Spider-Man?
No.
That makes a lot of sense. Gary B was a super snob when I met him. His stardom is
Matt Woods is picking on me. Matt Woods and I got to have breakfast together and hang out for a day. We had a great time. Got to meet his son Spencer, who's a good dude. And
the funny thing there,
and
Matt,
his son is taller than him.
Well, the funny thing about that, Matt, is that Gary said the exact same thing about you. I mean, it's crazy.
Lady Fantastic. Gary B is not a big deal at all. He's as basic gets. All right, number 7, sir.
Number 7. This is probably one of my favorites. This was gifted to me by, Cherry Pop-Tart issue 1. This was gifted to me by a friend, Absurd Kraken on Instagram, and he's a Whatnot seller. He does pretty well on Whatnot. But he actually gifted me this book. I was on the hunt for this book for the longest time, just because this carries a lot of nostalgia for me. Growing up, I was one of those kids that would sneak into my dad's Playboys or my friend's dad's Playboy collection, and we would sneak them off into the woods. And it was things like this. I don't know. It just kind of brings back nostalgia. It's kind of something like me and my friends would hide in the woods and look at. And just a really cool book. And the fact that it was a gift from a friend after I couldn't find it on my own makes it special.
Well, there are a bunch of fun shorts. The stories are nice, fun shorts in that.
Yes, Larry Wells does an amazing job. He's a great artist. And he's still, you can still order stuff on his website to this day. And his video, actually, I did a video on Cherry Pop Tart, and it's probably my most well-received video on my channel by far. It actually has a ton of views on it, but Cherry Pop Tart, I had to pick it for that reason, for those reasons, actually.
Nice, and that looks in some nice minty shape there too.
Well, it has a small tear on the back, but it's still, I'm very, very happy to have it. And yeah, and I'm a big fan of Larry Wells and his art. I'd love to have like some commissioned work of his one day.
Brian LCS prefers cinnamon pop. Brian LCS can't talk. We've seen his intros. We've seen the LCS girls before Brian.
But he's all about breakfast.
He's got no talking room.
And on his website, they actually have Peach Momoko and Rose Besh did some covers for like a reprint of Cherry Pop Tart.
Oh, you'll have to send me that link so I can check it out.
I will, yeah, because there's some really cool.
Curious
there's
what
some
the peach art looks like for that.
It was actually pretty good. I remember it selling very, very well.
But yeah, it's a really popular. It had a popular underground following. But yeah, I definitely had to pick that for those reasons. But the next one I got is a pretty good one. This is all right. This is a first appearance of probably my favorite character. One of my my favorite female character. We'll say that. But,
you just became one of my favorite guests ever.
First Dazzler.
Oh, Dazzler is the best.
I almost have her entire Volume 1 run, plus a lot of other covers. What you got, Gary? Oh, you got one too.
And I got mine signed by Jim Shooter. Plus, you have to get the error variant of Dazzler 1. There's an error variant out.
I have that. I have that in the regular.
So you got 42 issues of the regular series. Then you have a movie magazine tie-in, a Marvel graphic novel.
I'm still missing that.
You had the 4-issue Beauty and the Beast with her and the Beast, which took place immediately after issue 42.
I have those.
All right, perfect.
And actually there is hold on, let me grab, I know exactly where it is. Let me grab and show you this one because this, and I don't know where this picked up, but let's see.
This is not to be confused with the Bedazzler, who just does a bunch of bedazzling.
Yep, I got 3 copies of that.
Okay, just had to make sure that you knew that was out there. But yeah, I'm a huge Dazzler fan. I didn't know that you were into Dazzler. I thought I was the only one on earth.
Oh no, I'm a huge Dazzler fan.
Got the
I've talked about her on tons of shows.
There's one of her figures.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Dazzler that I like so much. Honestly, I just always liked that character.
Yeah, Allison Blair is a great character. She's fun. Well, she's like a Peter Parker, right? She's struggling. Like she's barely paying for her apartment. No one takes her serious. She's trying to get through life.
Yeah, she's a real person. She's a relatable person.
With her on that level.
Yes, and I like the whole disco vibe that she had, and the story of her origin with the Marvel Casablanca Records was kind of a cool sort of origin how she came to be.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's an interesting history, and I'm going to say it one more time, even though Rob's probably going to fall asleep because I've said it so much. My perfect pitch for a Dazzler show on Disney Plus is to place her in the 70s and do a 70s era, like 6 to 9 episode arc of just taking place with that costume in the 70s. You don't have to have a bunch of other heroes there. Just, it would be just do a period piece.
I like it. Yeah, that would be cool.
But, all right. So, that's awesome. All right. So number 9, sir.
All right, number 9.
See, there's a bunch of us Dazzler fans out there.
I knew there had to be somewhere. I knew somebody else had to like her. No, I'm just kidding. Right. This was probably my best find of last year, and I found this in bargain bins. But I picked this one because
now we're talking.
See, now you're hitting Rob's favorite character. You just hit one of mine with Dazzler. Rob is a big Miguel O'Hara Spider-Man 2099 fan. And
okay,
that's a rare one there.
Well, Rob, I actually pulled this. I pulled this out of a dollar bin, dude. I'm not kidding. Nice, yes. Oh, he's got it graded. What's the grade on that? How did you pull that off? It's got an all-white border.
Well, it's not the white border is not the problem. It's the black border that's around the outside, because this is a really thin paper. For anybody who doesn't know, this particular book is got a really thin cover. It's not a normal paper graph. And it only came inside of the Toy Biz toy that was sold through KB toy stores at the time. And so what happened is those blister packs, as they got bent or whatever, these things just spine ticked like there's no tomorrow. I actually got mine. I bought the book with the toy from somebody at an online auction. And I looked at it for the longest time, and I finally, after just doing the best I could do, looking through the plastic, I decided to pull the trigger and cut it out of the package, because the toy by itself with the comic book in there was about a $300 item, but the book by itself was over $1,000. And so I was very happy when it came back to 9.8 and super excited.
That's almost unheard of. I would never think you could get a 9.8 on this book. I don't know what I'm pushing for on this one. Maybe a 9, maybe.
Yeah, I've had 2 copies in my time. I had one that came back. It was like a 7, and I sold that one. But this one's not going anywhere.
Here, wait, hold it up. Making you big, Rob. Hold it up for him to see real good. So yeah, beautiful book.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice Toy Biz variant.
And then he's in that new the new Spider-Verse movie or whatever. So that's
now my favorite Toy Biz variant is the ASM 194 variant that they did with the black cat.
Which one is? I'd have to see it.
Yeah, they post the toys on the cover, like it looks cool.
Yeah.
When I dig it out of my black cat box, I'll send you a pic of it. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that.
But there was a lot of Toy Biz comics. Like, it was amazing how many they actually did.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know how any of these made it through. If you think about it, the fact that they were packaged with the toys and how rough kids are with toys, just ripping them apart to get it open. It's a wonder there are any of these.
Or just the shipping to the toy stores with the boxes getting thrown around and the books banging around.
Well, that wasn't even the harder part on it, actually, is the fact that when this book came out, so it came out 9 years after the Spider-Man 2099 first print came out. By then, the series had been discontinued for a while. And nobody was really, you go there to toy, it's like, who's this retarded Spider-Man? It's not the Spider-Man they know. And so a lot of them didn't sell. And they ended up then, not only do they like fall off the peg hooks and hit the floor and stuff and get tweaked, but then they would just get all thrown in these bins, the bargain bins, right? Where people are tossing over these toys, looking for one. So yeah, when you get to the end, there's a lot of them that are banged up just because that border's not good. Of the ones that are out there that are graded, there's very few of them that are high grade, although it has last I looked, I think the census had doubled in the number of 9.8s in the last year. It's like all of a sudden people were anticipating this Miles Morales movie and his appearance there, were seeking these books out and pulling them out and getting them sent in and stuff, because it used to be there was only about 50 on census, but now there's like, I think it's close to 100 or over 100. So yeah, that's big news. I know, even from somebody like me, who's a big 2099 fan. I will admit 2099 launch was not particularly successful.
Right, but the 2099 launch was fun though, because I remember collecting all of them back in the day when they first came out. My two favorite were Spider-Man and Ghost Rider. The other ones were
yeah, I just picked up a big score of Doom, Ravage, Punisher, and I don't remember who the other one. I don't know. X-Men. Yeah, a whole score of number ones of those in high grade.
Well, they got smart 2 years ago, and they put out a one-shot Conan 2099, which was really good.
Really? I never saw that.
It was a one
how could this work? And it was done really well. I was surprised.
It was a Conan 2099, a Fantastic Four 2099, a Venom 2099, and then along with another Spider-Man and another Doom. There were a couple there's just a one and done title thing. But.
Okay.
All right. So number 10, Scott.
Number 10. This is a pretty good one. This is probably my favorite slab in my collection, and the reason being is because the person whose cover it is and who signed it is no longer with us. This is a George Perez cover and slab, and I wasn't fortunate enough to get to meet him, but I had the opportunity to trade for this shortly after his death, and I knew that this was something that I've always admired his work and his covers, and just throughout the years, really since as long as I can remember. So I knew that this was something that I had to have in my collection, and it's something I've added in the last 6 months.
Right, but, and a great signature to have. And like a John Byrne and like a couple of these other artists, and George Perez could draw any hero and it looked good.
Mm-hmm. And the weird thing, I always loved the way that he drew Beast anyways. So when I saw it and I was like, is that George Perez? And they told me, yeah. I knew that I had to trade for it. So I was able to trade and get it. And yeah, it's really cool. It's got a Captain America and I think it's Machine Man right there. But yeah, just a really nice, it's a hidden gem variant for Avengers Marvel Snapshot issue 1. But yeah, it's a hidden gem.
Yeah, I never saw that cover before. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's
for me.
I don't know. It might be like a 1 in 100. It's 1 in 50, 1 in 100 hidden gem. I can't remember what the ratio is on it, but it's something like that.
Now, are you a big slab collector too?
Somewhat. I have probably 15, so not like a massive amount, but I have some.
Well, a candidate for lonely slabs. That's it's a companion show that Remy does once in a while.
Parody show.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Parodying my show.
Oh yeah, I've definitely checked it out. What is the minimum requirement to consider yourself
for only slabs on my show?
Yes.
It's 25 to 30.
25 to 30. So I've got about 10 more to go. Yeah, I still got a little ways to go. I think this is my 3rd gold label and 15th slab overall. So, but probably one of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites.
And the gold labels are beautiful, and I was never into signed comics really until I met this guy over here. That's my co-host, and then he got me into. He's probably responsible for half of us getting into signed books. Is Rob?
I love signed books. Look at him showing off. That's crazy.
He's the signed slab king.
Holy.
And I have a few books coming back that he sent me that are autographed from Bruce Jones coming back, who was a great horror author, and he wrote some great Conan stories. Still not back, Rob. A year later, January will make a year.
Did you
Still
go to
waiting
CBCS
on him to return.
They went to CBCS, didn't they? Or did you press them?
Oh, I definitely pressed them, but I pressed them before I sent them.
Oh, I don't
do the pressing at the places. Okay. You're just adding time.
Right. So you said did go to CBCS?
Right. All right. And all right. So Number 11 with a personal story attached, Scott.
Number 11 with a personal story attached. This is a key, or I guess it's a small key that I picked up. Really, I guess you could call it a spec too, because I think there's something in the works with this.
Oh, Toxic
But
Avenger?
this is his. I had his first full appearance, and then I went and ordered this off Macari because this is his first cameo and cover. But the story behind this is when I was growing up, I have a younger brother, Alex, that I used to be really close and play with as kids. And this was one of the characters that there was a cartoon of Toxic. I think it was called Toxic Crusader or something like that. But
Crusaders.
Yeah, but it was a cartoon, and me and him loved it. We had the action figures. I really wish I still had those.
Trauma became a cartoon.
Right?
Yeah, I know, but I was even gonna say, like, when I got a little bit older, me and my friends, we would hang out in a buddy of mine's garage and watch Trauma movies, and it is kind of weird that they made that Trauma movie into, because there's some filthy Trauma movies. I mean,
most of them
there are.
Which is how James Gunn got into trouble to begin with, was because people were digging up his stuff from back when he was doing Trauma films and tried to apply it 15 years later and say, like, oh, see, this is how he is now. It's like,
right, because you're not allowed to grow as a person, right, Rob?
Or
the way the internet acts.
Or taking a sample of, this is the environment in which you are in.
Exactly. Right. I mean, some of the stuff that they did on Trauma, I can't believe was allowed on film.
Well,
that was the VHS era where anything was made for VHS. It didn't matter. It just went straight to video stores.
Yeah. Did you guys ever watch? Were you guys, either one of you guys, ever into Trauma films at all?
I've seen quite a few.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of them. I wouldn't consider myself a fan where I was super excited to go see them, but I did see for a while, just because I was into B movies and that type of stuff. So to see Toxic Avenger, Sergeant Kabuki Man, or Romeo and Juliet or stuff like that, were just kind of like, okay, it's just another B movie to watch.
Because you see, Rob and I also have Full Moon.
Full Moon. Now that's
Rob and I were Full Moon Studios guys. Like Full Moon put a movie out, I was watching it. Doll Man, Subspecies.
Yes, all the Subspecies movies and
Demonic Toys, all that
avocado stuff. Amazon Women in the Avocado Jungle or something like that, or avocado. I don't know. It's just like the slime bowl-orama, just like all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, and they even did their Doctor Strange knockoff movie, Dr. Mordred.
Yeah. Oh wow!
We couldn't get a Doctor Strange movie, but Full Moon Studios had Dr. Mordred out, which was basically Jeffrey Combs as Doctor Strange. So you had to reanimate her being Doctor Strange.
Watch all that stuff on Laserdisc.
Right. All right. Yeah, great book. So that had a connection with you with your younger brother.
Yeah, just a lot of fond memories just with that and the cartoon and the toys and everything that came along with Toxic Avenger. So and yeah, that was
Robin that too. What a weird thing Trauma Studios would actually get a cartoon in the 80s or whatever it was.
Right, exactly. Then Marvel would pick it up and let's make a comic book out of it. Yeah.
Man, and it was so cool, and the figures were really cool too. And you could play with them right along with the Ninja Turtles. They went well with all the other figures that we played with back then. But yeah, a lot of fond memories.
You got Lady Fantastic asking you if you like John Waters stuff.
John Waters, that sounds familiar. Why does that sound familiar?
It does. I know the name too, but I'm blanking on it right now. We'll have to have Lady Fantastic on sometime to educate us on it.
And probably if I wasn't live, I'd be like, oh yeah, John Waters, he does this, that, but because I'm live, I won't be able to think of it.
Right. So now we're to the point where we get a spec pick from you, Scott, from your collection. So what is your spec pick for the evening?
Okay. I decided for my spec pick, and this actually is going to be given away. I'm going to give this away really soon. But this
Craft.
was a really good title last year. It was optioned before it even came out by Netflix. But I enjoyed it. Her brother passes away. He comes back as her shadow. She thinks it's monsters out to get her at first, but kind of figures out that it's her brother. I don't know, it's this weird story, but it's really a really good story. And I think it'll play out really well on Netflix. And I do think that this book, it's only about a $10 book raw right now, if that. But I do think that it will heat up when more news comes. And like I said before, I will be giving this away. I should hit 400 soon, and I'll be giving this away when I hit 400 on the channel. So
there you guys go. Go sub them up right now.
Yep, pretty slide cover A. But yeah, Shadecraft was a good read. I hope they said that they were going to come back eventually and do like a second run. So I hope they do. They took a break to do other projects, the creators, and I'm hoping that they come back to it.
And yeah, Comic Journey saying that Shadecraft was weird in a good way.
Yeah, it was. That's a good description. It was weird in a good way.
Keys are the best spec picks, right? You don't want to, oh, this is my spec pick and it's a $700 book. Is it really a spec at that point? You want a good affordable spec, something that you can buy cheap and watch it grow while you have it.
Yeah, and it was hot for a minute, and then it cooled back off, and it'll continue to be cold for a while. But I believe when we see news that it'll heat up again, and I hope that it becomes something, because I really think it would be a good show.
Oh, I think definitely too. But I love, and it's one of those things where it's in that good indie horror line, where they have like The Unkindness of Ravens was one I really liked, and stuff like there was a lot of good indie horror that's been coming out in the last couple of years. All these great stories that are just a bit askew from the big two, which are really good, that you have people pouring their hearts into, that you can just read and really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was upset when that came to an end, but like I said, I'm hoping that they come back around to it again and we see some more Shadecraft.
Well, comics and movies and television, nothing ever really ends, Scott. You never know. It can always turn back up. Scott, those were amazing books. Really loved your personal picks. And you hit a couple favorites of mine, a couple favorites of Rob's. I was surprised with the big shield behind you that we didn't see any Captain America books.
I had one. I mean, I had one in hand. Like I said before, I did some last minute swapping out because I wanted to do some different stuff that maybe you hadn't seen on the show before. So I had a Captain America book in the mix originally.
Well, I'm surprised Classic Avenger hadn't made it on this show before. But it's nice to see that. It's nice to see all these callbacks because, all of us, we're at that age, right, where it's nostalgia is a hell of a drug, right? And nostalgia is just great. Drug. And, nostalgia is not cheap either. So,
well, and honestly, that's the books that I go after. That's the books that mean the most to me. Are not necessarily the $100, $200 books. Sometimes the $5, $10 books with the cover that brings me back to my childhood, that means more to me.
I got 50-cent books like that I would.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm doing it wrong.
What's that, Rob?
I said I'm doing it wrong, obviously.
Well, that's because you're the slob king, Rob.
Well, no, you're doing it right.
You're definitely
doing it right.
Well, I think the way what Rob is doing is how he's doing it wrong is Rob's nostalgic about everything. Everything's nostalgia to Rob.
Yeah, that can hurt the wallet. That can definitely hurt the wallet.
I pick Rob's the best.
You're not far off. What are you gonna do?
Right? It was such a time when you and I were growing up, Rob. There was so much creativity and so many new things. It's hard not. You get attached to so many different things.
Well, the harder thing actually is the fact that your nostalgia has a greater timestamp, because today's nostalgia, the kids growing up these days, their nostalgia is their window that they're in. But we grew up right in that time period where because we got left alone with the TV so much, and the TV was it was the UHF channels with all the reruns. We grew up on so many shows that were actually our parents' shows that were
Right.
before our time. That when you go nostalgia for things, some of the shows that you and I talk about, the Addams Family, the Munsters, and this stuff, that's before my time in reality. But I grew up on it in reruns because it was cheap programming for the UHF channels.
Right. And
So
especially
our
after school.
Right. So our childhood nostalgia period runs from about 1955 to 1985. And that's a huge span to be
Yeah.
nostalgia for.
I'm waiting for Dynamite to get a hold of the Bewitched property and make some Bewitched books.
Hey, they could do some cool stuff with that. Get the right artists on it.
Right? Oh, good. That was fantastic. Thank you, Scott. So we're
Dude,
gonna
thanks
go
for having me.
around the
I had a
horn.
blast.
Oh, it's fun, and you'll be back on next week with In the Hot Seat with the Usual Suspects, where we'll take
Yep.
a deep dive into your collecting and how you got into comics and anything and everything you want to talk about. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that
Uh,
sounds like a blast.
oh, it will be. So it's a little less formal than this. It's not really a format. It's more of an interview show. But
Okay.
Rob, what's coming up for you, sir?
Thursday we'll open up some boxes of some stuff, but importantly, this Saturday we're back with Only Slabs. Chris and I welcome the comic collector geek to the show. So we'll have another episode of Only Slabs, and then before you know it'll be January 2nd, and we'll be doing our live show at 5 p.m. Eastern. A lot of people are off that day, so check your schedule whether you have to work or not. We're going to be doing our big giveaway. If you haven't yet entered for the Fat Stacks giveaway, head over to my channel, youtube.com @robs.fatstacks. Check out the video that's posted there on the 1,000 subscriber push / giveaway. See what you need to do it, and be entered to win. You don't have to be present to win the books that I'm giving away, but I'm going to be joined by a bunch of friends who will be also bringing books and stuff to give and items to give away. And for those, you will need to be present to win.
Exactly. And there's going to be a casual box there. And the only way you can win this casual box is by tuning in live and being sub to Rob.
And then
So,
we'll have a big channel announcement as well about 2023 and beyond on this show too. And then the only other thing I'd like to bring up is that January 8th, on Sunday, January 8th, I will be doing a sit down live interview with Tony from EGS Comics. We'll be sitting down to talk about grading their new slabs. There'll be open up questions for everybody in the audience. If you have any questions about slabbing in general or grading comic books or about EGS and their new slabs, hopefully you'll get an opportunity to tune in on January 8th. Maybe ask the questions yourself.
right. And should be a lot of fun. Now, what's coming up for you, Scott?
All right. I got a video dropping in the morning. I got a really, really good size package show up at my door. So I got a cool unboxing video that will be dropping in the morning. I got part 2 of Advice from the Comic Community coming in a couple of days. And I got a horror comic battle coming up on Instagram between me and Rick Peterson. He has a massive horror comic book collection. So I have challenged him to a horror comic battle on Instagram. So that's going down sometime after the New Year's. And then I'll be back on here, hopefully with you on the 5th.
Yep.
So that's the plans.
And if you like horror comics, you got to check out Dope Comics. He is the horror king.
I have already checked him out. Yeah, for sure.
And a great dude.
Yeah.
All right, and coming up for me, guys, this Thursday we have our first 3P guest, and that's going to be Jason Douglas on In the Hot Seat with the Usual Suspects. We're going to learn all about his new book that's coming out. We're going to learn about the re-release of Parallel coming in January with an additional Parallel story in the back, plus behind-the-scenes features. So he's got 2 coming out, plus his battle and defeat of cancer this year. He took it on like a champ. He battled hard. He's doing well. We're going to sit down with Jason Douglas, who is one of the best guys and comic creators out there. An outstanding dude. I can't wait to talk to him again. Very down to earth, very awesome. And He's in charge of our future because he is a teacher and he teaches kids. And just can't say enough great things about Jason Douglas. That's what we got coming up for me. Next week, as I said, we have Scott back on In the Hot Seat, so that ought to be fun. And for now, guys, I want to thank the chat. Thank you guys very much. We had a fantastic chat. Tons of people in the chat. Great live banter going on. I want to, as always, thank Rob for being on the show with me. Best wingman you could have. I want to thank Scott for coming on the show. We really appreciate you coming on, and we had a lot of fun with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as always, guys, until next time, keep it casual. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code Keep It Casual for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.